You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. Good morning. It is April 1st, 2026. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. This is your weather enthusiast, Simcha Lefton. I wish you a guten Erev Yontif. I do want to go over the times, and then we're going to get right into the weather. So sunrise this morning is at 6:33 a.m. 72 minutes before is 5:21 a.m. The earliest time to put on talis and tefillin is when the sun is 11.5 degrees below the horizon. That's at 5:35 a.m. The latest time for Kriya Shema is 9:44 a.m. Sof Zman Tefillah is at 10:48 a.m. Chatzos is 12:55 p.m. Earliest time for Mincha is 1:26 p.m. The latest time to eat chametz is at 10:19 a.m. Sunset tonight is at 7:18 p.m. We have an unbelievable weather pattern that's taking shape over the region. A strong storm system will be moving across the upper Midwest, really just to the northwest of the Chicago area on Thursday. This is now expected to bring unseasonably warm weather into the Chicago area. Quite a change from what was originally forecasted. The storm system is intensifying and will likely become probably 29.5 at this point. Now that intensification will not just bring warmer air into the Chicago region, but it's also going to probably increase the chances of seeing a winter storm on the backside of the system. The story with the winter storm, we have two winter storms headed into the Minnesota area. Some areas, if you look in the European computer model, you'll see really large snowfall accumulations. But I've been more focused on Minneapolis, Minnesota, probably for each system right now, 3 to 6 inches. National Weather Service says 4 to 6 inches. The second system sounds more of a normal type of winter storm, where you have cold air on the backside, copious amounts of Gulf moisture. It is a Gulf, not a Gulf low, it's a Colorado low. Both systems are, but the second system is a Colorado low. It seems more of a classic system, and the reason you're not getting 6 to 12 inches, first of all, it could be areas to the north will be getting that, but it is a slushy snow. You have a higher sun angle, and you have things like that. The first system will be taking advantage of different rules or laws of nature. I don't know what the different taking advantage of different things to produce snow. So, for example, there's a lot of dry air that it has to overcome. So you have an opportunity for evaporative cooling. The National Weather Service explains a whole paragraph or more speaking about the wet bulb temperature. The wet bulb temperature is the temperature at which it would drop to if there would be evaporation, and that's super important regarding knowing whether the precipitation will be rain or snow. That's more important than the actual surface temperature, because if you have a temperature of 37 degrees, but the wet bulb temperature is 31 degrees, so that precipitation could very easily fall as snow. We're not going to have that problem for the second time around. The precipitation is going to start off as rain during storm number 2, which is Friday into Saturday, because there is no dry air, so there will be no evaporative cooling, but the precipitation will change over to snow in a solid way as colder air makes its way into the system. It's even a stronger system. Storm system from 29.6 or 7 will intensify to 29.4 by the time you get to Sunday morning. And that's a number we just haven't heard for a while. So that's that's more of a solid winter storm, copious amounts of Gulf moisture. The first system is really complicated for Minneapolis for other reasons also regarding mixed precipitation, because there really isn't enough cold air, but there's the evaporative cooling, so some of the precipitation might be cold enough to fall as snow, maybe some sleet, some maybe freezing rain, but ultimately it is expected to turn over to all rain by Thursday afternoon. There's heavy rainfall accumulations forecasted for a large area: Memphis, Tennessee; Paducah, Kentucky; Cincinnati, Ohio; St. Louis, Missouri; Baltimore, Maryland is its own sugya. The front dissects bisects, whatever. We've spoken about this before, but it continues to look like that. But, Baltimore, Maryland, there's a lot of record heat that's going to be going on in many cities. Cincinnati, for example, mid-80s for later on today. That's going to be record heat. Baltimore also is dealing with, it's almost like a heat dome. I mean, it's a pretty powerful high-pressure ridge that's right off the coast. It resembles a Bermuda High very much, and I believe that's what it is. The geographical heights at the 500 MB level is expected to reach 588, which, by the way, 588 is the threshold of a major summer heat wave. So they have that in place. At the same time, there's a strong high pressure system over Quebec as well. And the front is going to be situated between these two high pressure systems, and it's going to kind of go back and forth. So whichever high pressure system is stronger will be the winner. At times, it's going to be the Bermuda High or the high pressure off the coast. And at times, it's going to be the Quebec High. So, northern portions of Baltimore might be sitting in an air mass where it's in the 50s, perhaps even fog. But southern Baltimore could very well be in the mid-80s. Chicago, it's even more intense in a certain way. We said highs tomorrow might only be in the upper 30s. You have Thursday, it looks like highs going into the 70s, all the way up to the beach. And then for Shabbos, it seems like for many locations, even though we're in the warm sector, and other places too in the warm sector, it looks like places might have a little bit of a cool down. But Friday, it's just fascinating to see that the forecast highs for Chicago are mid-50s to mid-70s. So, where do you hear about a 20-degree difference within the same city for high temperatures? That's due to the lake, and that's due to the front. That's on Friday. It's really kind of similar to today. In a certain way, it's like a repeat of what happened yesterday and today. Yesterday, when I'm saying yesterday, it's Monday that ended up being the day with the record heat, and today ended up, it's so early in the day, it's as if it's really still Tuesday. It ended up being a day where temperatures were in the 40s in the afternoon for the north portions of Chicago. So we went over the times, and the excitement over here is just the intensity of the storm and the unique mechanisms behind. The mechanisms are not so unique, but as opposed to the National Weather Service describing the mechanisms in a way that even a elementary school child would be able to understand it is just something fascinating, and I think it's very kind for them to do that. A very kind thing for them to do that, and I don't get to see that so much. So that's something very special about the Minneapolis, Minnesota National Weather Service. And we do have a clipper system possibly moving through Chicago for next week on Monday. The 8 to 14-day temperature outlook shows above normal temperatures for all these cities: Chicago, Memphis, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Paducah, Kentucky, all these cities above normal temperatures. And for precipitation, below normal precipitation. That's the 8 to 14-day temperature outlook. I wish everyone a Chag Kosher v'Sameach and have a wonderful holiday. There's plenty of severe weather, which we did not get a chance to speak about, that will be impacting Oklahoma. But one thing I noticed is that although there is a tornado risk, in all cases it seems like it's a secondary risk. The primary risks are the large hail and the damaging winds.